are here to discuss about MySQL clusters, and I'm sure all of you must be aware of MySQL Server. Many of you must be working as MySQL DBAs, so you are very much aware of the basics or the terminology of MySQL. So guys, MySQL's special feature or the USP of MySQL is its storage engines, which gives us a great customized facility through which we can decide what functionality we can achieve for a particular table. Your transactional facility, storage related facility, indexes, locking, foreign key and referential integrity related facility, each and every important aspect related to your databases are decided by storage engines. We have many storage engines in MySQL like InnoDB, very popular one, MyISM, again the very ancient since MySQL, and Archive, very less used, only for the historical data, memory, which keeps your data always in memory, never on hard disk. That storage engine we have. And we have another special storage engine called NDB. This particular storage engine called NDB helps us to shard or to partition our tables and distribute our data on multiple nodes. And there comes MySQL cluster into picture. In this MySQL cluster course, we will teach you what are the basic concepts associated with MySQL cluster. We will explain MySQL cluster architecture. Guys, the very first thing we should understand what a cluster is and why we need. When we should go for cluster, is there any alternate? Is there any specific amount which we have to invest in order to install MySQL cluster? In which situation we should decide that this is the time when we should go for cluster. All these things we will discuss in this course. We will also explain how to configure MySQL cluster, how to install, how to scale, and then how to perform backup and recovery and provide important security features of MySQL cluster. Then management of MySQL cluster, where you want one particular node to shut down, another particular node to start, all these, how many nodes are up, and what is the uptime, all these things we call management node, managing a cluster, and how to do that. These all are our goal. And finally, we will again perform replication of the cluster. So these are the objective of these course. And the prerequisite, if I talk, then you should be aware about the MySQL concepts. What is MySQL? Obviously, sir, if you are not aware of MySQL concepts, cluster is far. The basic knowledge of MySQL is enough. It's not a rocket science. It's very interesting to establish a MySQL cluster. So these 13 in your screen are our lesson map. We have divided the topics which I just discussed into these 13 chapters, where in the very first we will discuss what is MySQL cluster, when we should go for MySQL cluster, what are the alternates available for MySQL cluster. We will focus on that part. after discussing all the major requirements related to MySQL, there we go for MySQL cluster concept. The major USP of cluster, MySQL cluster especially, that these are the important points of MySQL cluster. The second one. Then we'll teach you how to install MySQL cluster, its major configuration files, then all the features related to NDB storage engine, because this is the soul of MySQL cluster. So what functionalities you can achieve by using NDB storage engine, that is your chapter number 5. Then different design topologies of MySQL cluster, how to handle data in MySQL cluster, cluster management, as I just discussed, that to start a particular node, to stop a particular node, to gather the stats related to different nodes. These are major security, how to increase or enhance the cluster performance, the major points to consider for performance on a cluster, that is we have covered in chapter 10. Different problems you may face and how to handle those problems during after cluster installation, and when the cluster is running, what are the challenges you may face and how to handle those. We have covered them. And finally, again, the cluster replication. So that is the beauty. Cluster replication, again, more high availability, more reliability you achieve with highly sensitive data. We can also implement this. So here we'll discuss, guys, MySQL is world's #2 popular database. There are many database ranking websites. You guys can Google those things. You will find that MySQL is very popular in this world, and daily 70,000 downloads, around 70,000 downloads are related to MySQL only. So that much active technology is MySQL, and it is used in whole world. Yeah, even in Antarctica, MySQL is used. It is used by all the popular web or social networking sites in this world, including Facebook, Yahoo, Amazon, and many others. They all are using MySQL. MySQL actually was initially launched by a company called MySQL AB, which was established by Mr. Michael Montevidnius with his friend David Exmark. And since 1995, it is gaining popularity because of its open source feature. It's a community child. MySQL is a community's child. Each and everyone, any developer can download the source code, can add more features, can tweak the source, and can share it with the community, with others. So many features gradually keep on adding with MySQL, and slowly MySQL start becoming rich in facilities. And it was open source and was launched under GPL licensing, so anyone can use it. And that's why it is very much used with web applications like the LAMP technologies, where the OS is Linux, where host server is Apache, then MySQL as the backend, and then your PHP as the design language, the LAMP technologies. MySQL cluster, particular thing we call as MySQL Cluster Carrier Grade Edition. It is this Cluster Carrier Grade Edition is available in 2 editions or 2 versions, you can say. One is the Enterprise Edition, another is the Community Edition. Community Edition, which you can download under GPL licensing, and you need not to purchase or to pay for it. But the Enterprise Edition you have to pay to Oracle, because nowadays MySQL is under Oracle's umbrella. Because in 1995, yeah, it was launched by MySQL AB, but in 2008, it was acquired. The MySQL AB company was acquired by Sun Microsystem. And in 2010, Sun Microsystem was acquired by Oracle. So that's why now MySQL is under Oracle. Oracle itself is popularly known for its database. So there was, since 2010, there was very much doubts in the market. Then now what's the fate of MySQL? But Oracle has very well preserved and nourished MySQL, and they have launched many versions, many important versions with full features, rich set of features in the new versions. If I talk about MySQL Server, the known cluster, there MySQL 5.6, 5.5, 5.6, and now very soon 5.7 will be available under GA, general availability, ready for the production. So these three editions are by Oracle. Similarly, with MySQL clusters, recently they have launched 7.4. Okay, so continuously the new versions, new patches, and new features are added with MySQL. That's why MySQL is world's number 2, because it is a continuously enhanced product. If you go for MySQL Enterprise Cluster Grade Edition, you will have all these features which you are watching on your screen. You can use MySQL Workbench. Guys, this is a GUI tool which is very user-friendly. You have to just type your syntax. If you are wrong, just like MS Word, you will find that red mark with your statement. Again, like tooltip, you can see the correct syntax. Help is very user-friendly, more readable than the text-based edition. By using Workbench, we can perform all the operations, server status related, how many RAM size, CPU percentage, CPU load, queries per second, transactions per second. All these stats are available in graphical mode, in the form of graph, in the form of spikes. We can monitor what is going on with server. I can execute SQL statement, plus I can do modeling, the ER modeling, database design, reverse engineering, and forward engineering. All these facilities are available, and this particular tool called MySQL Workbench is available with both with Enterprise Edition and with Community Edition. Similarly, this Enterprise Scalability, where they have launched a few beautiful tools. Very recently, Oracle has launched a tool called MySQL Fabric. This MySQL Fabric tool will help you to take care about your clusters. What is the current position? How many nodes are on? How many nodes are not working? Their status. This status information we can check without these tools also, but for that we have to fire queries. So this is graphic based tools. So nowadays graphic based tools, all the DBAs, they prefer to use that. It is very easy to understand. So this is available with our Enterprise Edition. The Enterprise Monitor, this tool is like Oracle's Cloud Manager, where complete statistics related to ongoing server, production server, is available. In one particular time, what queries were fired, how much time the queries took to execute, to find the bottleneck of the performance. This tool is just a miracle. It is also available, and we can use it with your clusters also. Then With Oracle's Premier support is there. Yeah, if it's Enterprise Edition and you have some issues, you can call them. Their helpline number, it's 24/7 available to you. You can go for certification and integrations because it's Enterprise Edition. So there is the linking with other Oracle products like ODI, Cloud Manager, etc. We have a tool called MySQL Enterprise Backup, which is hot backup. Means during backup there is no locking. The tables are available to users. Users can read and write while this backup is going on. And it's incremental also. It will take less time, less storage space for backing up. This is available with Enterprise Edition. Enterprise Security, we have many inbuilt plugins and security features like validate password. We can link with the PAM authentication or LDAP authentication. These features are also available with Community Edition also. And for particularly clusters, we have a tool called Cluster Manager, where with minimum effort we can monitor the health of cluster, how many nodes, their uptime, and how to bring them down, how to add online node. All these work becomes very easy with Cluster Manager. This is available with Enterprise Edition. So in this course, we're gonna learn workbench also and with the Cluster Manager. Enterprise Monitor, if you want, we can go for this. But the major beauty of cluster course is with Cluster Manager. These are the some big giants or the well-known organizations which are using MySQL clusters. They are very well known. You can see it on your screen. And because MySQL cluster is unique in features and it gives more and more reliability to your data, all the bigger giants are using MySQL. So when we should consider that this is the time when we should use MySQL cluster. Here the cluster requirement of cluster is totally related with your downtime. Guys, if you are a telecommunication company, your services should always be there. Your clients are using your services 24/7. You cannot afford a downtime. You're a bank, you cannot afford a downtime. There are many sensitive applications, many areas where downtime is not affordable at all. Loss of data cannot be afforded. In such cases where high availability is highly demanded, there MySQL cluster is the solution. MySQL cluster gives us 99.999. That is the 5.9 high availability time. And the reason behind is it's no single point failure cluster. Everything is replicated everywhere. Even the whole cluster can be replicated, and we can replicate it using commodity hardware. That is our simple server machines. We need not to invest huge amount in servers, buying servers. Okay, so using the hardware, we can replicate the things on many machines, and again those machines are further replicated and we can make a chain. So that's why we can achieve 99.9959 high availability. Second thing, you can see efforts and money. Guys, installing and managing MySQL cluster is very easy. Believe me, it's not tough at all. We have to maintain a few configuration files on your node. Many times I have used the word called node because every computer in the cluster, which is part of cluster, is called a node, which is further categorized into 3 categories. I'll discuss that also. Okay, So the configuration and the transmission of data and statements between the node is automatic. I have to write only a few statements in a few files and the cluster setup is done. Installation of software, cluster software on a machine is 5-minute job. I have to fire a few statements, that's it. No big configuration effort, tuning up, and compatibility issues I have to face. Nothing. It's very simple, very less requirement. When I say very less requirement, by that I mean with a commodity hardware requirement. That I mean. So the next question that we should consider when we should go for MySQL cluster is, are you considering sharding your database? So guys, what is sharding here? Your data is automatically partitioned and stored in different nodes. You are not aware of it, that how your data is partitioned. You as a client are simply firing your statement, select star from table name, insert into table name, and your rows are very well distributed in the nodes, and it helps us to scale read and write operations. You fire a select statements and there are many nodes. All the nodes are not scanned. Partition pruning is used. It enhances the performance. Only those nodes are striped or red where your data is present. Other nodes are left. So the scanning work is reduced. Same with the write. So it will help us to scale up our read-write operations with the MySQL cluster. In where your table size is extremely large, this helps us a lot. And MySQL gives you real-time response. Real-time response means very quick. And if your services need the real-time response, MySQL is the solution. And the reason behind this is, yeah, you can see sharding is there, and the second beauty is in-memory structure. Yes, MySQL cluster is in-memory cluster. Your data is always in RAM. So some says we need bigger and biggest RAM size. I'll say, yeah, we need a good RAM size, but that doesn't mean that you need extremely large RAM size. The reason is your data is partitioned. In one particular node, the whole table is not there. It's only a partition is there. Okay, so we can afford a medium range RAM size. So very general questions arises. What is that medium size RAM requirement, or what should be the optimum RAM size? Guys, the optimum RAM size in MySQL cluster totally depends on your database size, the number of replica, and how many data nodes. So data node, a word now I have used, so I'll explain that also. There is a formula given by Oracle which can help you to determine the exact size of RAM when you install MySQL cluster. Okay, but for this we need some stacks. Generally, MySQL clusters we establish for already running production, and for already running productions we are aware of database size, table size, index size, etc. So if that statistic is available, we can easily calculate the RAM size by following the formula. So because of in-memory, because of sharding, it gives us quick time. Response time is really less, and that's the real time. Okay, so the next thing where you should consider MySQL cluster, this is the time to install MySQL cluster, is scalability demand. If suddenly the load on your production is increased, number of queries fired, number of connections simultaneously attempted have increased significantly. So that time the scalability is required, and MySQL cluster is highly scalable. It's online scalable, means without shutting down the cluster, I can add new nodes to the cluster. Okay, so it will automatically scale up and distribute the data accordingly. And MySQL also supports every type of data. It's not SQL statement, it supports NoSQL or mem-cached data also. It supports the API linkage with NoSQL and SQL as well. So downtime I cannot afford. I want real-time response. I want more the read and write speed. I want scalability. I want flexibility. Solution is MySQL cluster. These are the features of MySQL cluster, the key benefits. Auto sharding, yeah, as I discussed, MySQL cluster divides or partition your tables and divide it or store it in different data node. Actually, MySQL cluster is a combination of three type of machines. Those machines are called nodes, and three type of nodes we use. First, SQL node, where the queries are fired, through which the client users talk to cluster. Those are called API node or SQL node. Any simple MySQL server installation with NDB storage engine enabled, the package we need. So if we install that RPM with MySQL server installation, the NDB storage engine we enable, that can become a SQL node for us. Then second type of node in MySQL cluster is management node. This is the central point of MySQL cluster, where a central configuration file is maintained which keeps information about every node of this cluster. So if this central location is so important, what will happen if this central location is down? Just recently I said it's no single point failure. So if there is a central point and if it fails, means cluster will get down? No. Even the management node is down, still the client, the API node, can take data from data nodes. But you cannot do scalability. But data availability is still there. So the solution is also in the MySQL cluster. You can replicate your management node also, the central point. We can replicate, and it's auto fail, means if one node is not working, MySQL cluster is smart enough to use another node automatically. That is the auto failover capability of MySQL cluster. We have auto sharding, we have auto failover, we have multi-master transactions, we have ACID compliant transaction. This ACID compliant transaction, the atomicity, consistency, isolation, durability. These four are the soul of transaction and concurrency control, and your MySQL cluster supports it. Okay, so we have scaling and read and write because of this. 99.999% availability, the 5.9. This happened because of shared nothing design. Even in other RDBMS clusters, they may have a shared storage. They are using SAN or some RAID or something. So all the nodes of cluster are actually accessing data from one location. And what if the location got there? Okay, there, that is the single point of area. But in MySQL, your data is divided in different machines. So there is no common storage area. Plus, every node is further replicated to multiple levels decided by us. So, based upon these facilities, I can say that everything is replicated and automatically failed over. As a result, I achieved 5.9 high availability. And all these operations, but I say all these operations, if one node get failed, and the automatic failover will happen, and in the meantime I can repair the particular node, and I need not to shut down the cluster for that. It's online operations. Real-time responsiveness, your data is in RAM always, and so disk input output is reduced. As a result, real-time performance, or the very fast access time we achieve, that is real-time responsiveness, the key benefit of MySQL cluster. SQL and NoSQL, the flexibility. Yes, I can use MySQL cluster as a backend with any type of application, Java-based, C++, MySQL, Memcached, HTTP. So it supports, or there is a rich set of connectors available where you can connect application with the cluster. And if you want a GPL edition, you need not to pay. But if you want a commercial edition, and why you want commercial edition, I have given you the reasons. You have many tools which are just available with commercial edition or enterprise edition. So if you want the cluster enterprise edition, even then the total cost of ownership, the TCO means total cost of ownership, is very less. You need not to if you compare it with other available clusters, this is the cheapest in market. Now here we will discuss the main reason behind enterprise cluster. The enterprise cluster have a tool called MySQL Cluster Manager. This MySQL Cluster Manager will reduce the cluster management task to great extent. If you see in this slide, okay, to perform all these operations, you need to type 46 commands, 2 and 5 hours of attended operation. To perform all these operations, you can see here. But with Cluster Manager, I need to give only one command and it will automatically take care of. It is unattended operation. So it reduces the overhead and complexity of managing database clusters. That's the reason behind why we should go for Enterprise Edition. But yes, if you don't have Enterprise Edition, that doesn't mean that now you really cannot manage, or you will not enjoy the cluster management. No. Yes, we need to type a few statements more, but there is, again, it's not a big deal to manage MySQL cluster as its structure is very simple. If you are not using MySQL cluster, still you can perform your task manually. Okay, so we have a node called management node. So two types of node I explained. One was API node. Another was your management node. And To manage the management node, we have Cluster Manager. If you don't have Cluster Manager, we have a client program to manage management node, Cluster Management. The third node of Cluster Management, MySQL Cluster, is Data Node. Cluster Manager for managing what to manage? Data. Where is data? On data node. Data node is that part of the machine on cluster where my data, user's data, is actually present in memory. It is also possible to keep it on disk, but it's on demand, or you can say it's based on checkpointing, which totally controlled by the DBAs. So MySQL clusters data is actually available on data node, and there are how many data nodes are there and the number of replicas we want. Based upon it, a logical grouping called node groups are maintained, and in one node group there should be more than one data node, and your data is replicated in the node group. When we say cluster down, it means all the nodes of node group are down. So if we go for a significant amount of numbering of replica, that situation we never face. If you say number of replica is equal to 1, then that is not cluster. That is not the purpose of cluster. We avoid such things. And the failover between data nodes of a node group is automatic. And through your management node, you can come to know about the status of all data nodes. Which one is on, which one is off. With Cluster Manager, it's automatic, you can see, but without Cluster Manager, you have to fire some statements. There are the tools I have discussed with you, that these tools can help you to ease your work. Through these tools, your work will be easy. You need not to remember the lengthy syntaxes, or you need not to write the complex scripts. Everything is scripted, very well created in these tools. Enterprise Monitor with great facilities to see the health of your server. Enterprise Backup, the hot online backup where the read-write concurrently goes on even during the backup. And Workbench, where all the three important tasks, modeling, server administration, and query management, is done. You can execute statements, you can see server status variables, you can change, you can create users, you can change their permission without writing a single statement. Everything is, wizard based here with the Workbench. So these tools will make your work more easy and less overhead is involved. Connectors and API. MySQL is very well used with every language as a backend. You have different connector RPMs available, which you can install where your programming or application is running, and then those applications can transfer data with MySQL server or cluster. These are the connector names and the APIs you can see on your screen. So it's almost all the major ones are written here, but still the range is more. Guys, MySQL you can learn, you can go for certifications, you can have MySQL consultations, And if you have purchased the Enterprise Edition, you can enjoy the Oracle lifetime support. So, like the training, if I talk about, MySQL is following this curriculum path. You can see that we are at the top part of this MySQL cluster. You can see in this slide, MySQL cluster is the least, you can say, leaf of this tree. So it starts with the beginner, then you can go with the DBA, and if you are a DBA, then you can go for performance tuning, clustering, and high availability. Clustering we are discussing at the moment. So in the DBA part, there is another type of replication which we use for high availability, and guys, that replication is asynchronous replication, while the cluster is synchronous one. So during this course we will discuss both synchronous and asynchronous, and which one is better, in which situation which one we should go for. Even guys, when I will discuss cluster replication, there it is asynchronous. Still you can make that synchronous also. We have lots of choices available with us. Okay, so the course called MySQL High Availability. This particular course you can learn both synchronous and asynchronous. In MySQL cluster, synchronous we teach. In MySQL DBA course, MySQL for database administration, we teach the major management task of MySQL server. And performance tuning course, we are only focusing on how to enhance the performance of MySQL server. Okay, what are the concerns, the major aspects, the benchmarking, and the profiling, all those operations are taught in the performance tuning. Yeah, so these are the training, and for every training there are certifications. So in the end I will discuss about certifications also. Guys, as I told you, MySQL is community style, and that's why we have very well list of forums, article, blogs, and YouTube channels where you can learn, or you can get your problems solved. You can discuss your issues, and you will get very great suggestions from the community. Okay, so the number of forums, mailing list, articles, and white papers on any technology shows that this technology is in demand or not. There are some techniques, tools on which you will get very less help. It shows they are not very much used in the market, their demand in the market. This is not the case with MySQL. MySQL.com is the official website of MySQL. There you will get every software, every documentation, blog, webinar. You will get article, white papers on MySQL. Apart from that, in web you will get other blogs also. Oracle's lifetime support for MySQL. Yes, Oracle gives source code. You can download source code and you can change. There are many vendors, or there are many users or clients, I will say, who have changed the source code of MySQL, and they have changed it according to their need. Facebook is the great example. They have tweaked MySQL according to their requirements. Okay, so that is available from Oracle's website now. And MySQL's, as I told you, that forums and articles and everything is available and very well backed by MySQL developers, which are who have developed MySQL. Now they are under Oracle's umbrella, and we can enjoy the benefits from them. MySQL clusters can be downloaded for and can be installed on any operating system. There is no limitation for 32-bit, for 64-bit. But no one installs MySQL on 32-bit, as 32-bit have some limitations with the hardware architecture or the RAM size, etc. And because our cluster is in-memory cluster, so RAM size we need bigger. That's why we prefer 64-bit architecture. So from the mysql.com we can download MySQL Cluster Carrier Grade Edition for Windows, Linux, Solaris or Mac. These are the websites I was discussing with you guys. mysql.com and dev.mysql.com are the official one, and these are the services which you can enjoy by surfing on these. You have article, forums, Planet MySQL. You get download all the general available or even the beta versions of MySQL softwares. The real help, the documentation, very well text and readable. These are available from these two websites. This cluster carrier grade edition, how to download. So in mysql.com download section, in the cluster page, you will select your OS for which you want to download. You will get a complete list, like here 64-bit, 32-bit architecture, version 6, version 7 of Red Hat. You can find the Oracle Linux, and you can see the size, how small. It's in MBs. That much lightweight this tool is. After downloading, if you are downloading the Enterprise Edition, guys, yes, you need the e-delivery link, Oracle's e-delivery link, and you can download the Cluster Manager from Oracle's e-delivery link. You have to download it separately, and there you have to install it. So this is the method they are showing us how to install cluster. This I will teach you during the course. Curriculum path. We are the DBAs at the intermediate level, and we have three options. We have still three more options to enhance ourselves. One is the performance tuning, one is the cluster and high availability, and we are enhancing ourselves by going through clusters. Guys, everyone needs recognitions, and an international certification is the proof that we know something. And Oracle's certifies used by OCA, OCP, and OCE. At the moment, Oracle has stopped OCA and OCP. Very soon they will launch it again with latest versions. But OCE recently they have stopped a few months ago, and now they have launched 7.4, so they will come up with their latest certification. At the moment we have OCP only. One is OCP Database Administrator 5.6, and one is OCP MySQL Developer for 5.6 version. Previously there were two exams for OCP, but now they have a single exam, one for DBAs, another for developers. But previously you passed two exams for developer, but now they have changed the pattern. So once you are very well equipped with the knowledge of MySQL, you can have this certification, which will enhance your career definitely. And these are the documentation list where different help and all the major terms of MySQL is very well explained. this online documentation which you guys can achieve from mysql.com. You can read from it. So this was MySQL cluster, which we will gonna cover here. And in a short, if I will again discuss cluster, the major USP of MySQL cluster. Number one, auto sharding. Partitioning is automatic. Auto failover. If one node got failed, it is automatically, the queries are automatically handed over to the next one. Okay, it's online upgradable or scalable. We can add new nodes without halting the ongoing process. Okay, and it's lightweight. We need not big servers and memory requirements in order to install MySQL. We can install it on commodity hardware. Okay, the 99.999 high availability is possible with MySQL clusters. Okay, so these are the major benefits. So we will teach you how to install, manage, scale up, backup, and checking the performance of MySQL cluster.